So my van has a bicycle carrier on it, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how I made this thing. How I got the Thule bike carrier on this, and it also has a hitch function. I need to change this out to the hitch function right now, and I figured I would record this, show you guys how I do it, how I made it. Towards the beginning of the year when I was traveling, I brought my bicycle with me on my trip before the whole COVID thing took over, and I'm so glad I did, because this bike just literally, it gave me something to do, something to, like a hobby of mine that I could enjoy, and dude, wouldn't trade it for anything. So this bicycle rack started as a generator carrier. I had a box, if you've been watching my videos for a long time, I made a box that held a Honda i, which is like a small generator, and I had it mounted back here. Well, I built all of the like bracketry for that bicycle carrier super stout and strong, like it's way too much for what it is right now. But for the generator, it was like perfect, because I didn't want my $1,000 generator falling off the back of my van out in the middle of, you know, Arizona. So I scrapped that idea because of my solar panels that you can see up top. I got carried away with all that stuff, so I didn't need a generator anymore. Then I decided to make it a bicycle carrier. It is way overbuilt for my 25-pound bike, but I had all this sweet like bracketry that I made up, and I needed to use it for something. So bicycle. And it pivoted out of the way of my rear hatch, and then I made the bike fold over so the handlebars wouldn't hit the hatch. I can leave my bike attached to this thing when I go into the back of the van, open the hatch to either check on the engine or get something out of the back. And I can also shut it, and I'm done. There's one little screw that I gotta tighten down or take off, depending on where, you know, if I'm shutting it or closing it, opening it, and that's it. I also made, after the whole bicycle thing, I made a hitch, and the hitch mounts to a couple different bolts that I have holding the whole carrier like assembly together. The hitch bolts on, and I can take it off, put my bicycle carrier back on. So this is the rack that I got on the back of my van. I got a gas shock, which opens the bike and the rack and everything. I made some roller bearings in here. These are tapered roller bearings, and they're actually to the front outer bearings on the Vanagon hub. So these bearings, there's two of them in there obviously, and they are to the front side of my wheel on the hub. So I got that in there. I got a little Zerk fitting. I made some caps. This is just a little like plunger that I got, and if you open this, it falls. The bike falls down, and there's a little hole there. This little rubber bumper bumps into that. The cables are tight when the bike is leaning over. I got bushings down here, which are to a Honda Civic. They're control arm bushings, and I looked them up on eBay, and the dimensions for this were literally perfect for my setup that I got here. When you shut this, it literally fits together perfect. I got this cylinder that I made a bracket for. It pivots on here, and there's another one up here. This limits how fast the bike can fall over. Uses the cylinder as the bike is moving back and forth. So when I open this, the cylinder slows down the bike falling so fast. So this kind of just limits the flow of that. I made all of this myself. This is just some 1x2 steel that I got from work, just some angle. Put this on there so you couldn't get to the head of the bolts with just like a pair of vice grips and loosen them. I got a little bumper down here. The bumper will hit this piece of steel and obviously stop it. It's adjustable, so the threads can line up. These two are for a lock. I can put a lock in there, lock it from the back side. And this is a Thule bike carrier. I don't remember what model it is, but I'll put a link in the description. Grabs the frame up here. This is lockable, and it just kind of ratchets down on the wheels, front and back, holds the bike there like super secure. So that pretty much covers the swinging bike rack, and it also folds out of the way of the hatch when it opens. So I made these. This is a piece of 1/2 inch 12mm steel that I got from my old job that I used to work at. I bent this on like a 30-degree angle, I think, and it sandwiches the original tow hook. I tapped this out to a 20mm thread, 20mm bolt, and it just kind of clamps on that tow hook and comes out here. There's a bolt in the bottom of this holding this on, but you can't get to it until you take this off, so you got to take this off to get to that. It's kind of like a theft thing. These two bolts are holding this, and this piece is here, so this cannot bend down. When this tries to bend down, it tries to push that in. Well, that is going to my frame where my original Volkswagen engine was, and I made a bracket there. It kind of clamps onto that frame rail, and it comes out to this. So when you try to push on this, it tries to push that in, and obviously it can't go in because it's secured. And it's also on the other side as well. And on this side, I do have a receptacle that I made a bracket off of this, but that goes to the frame as well, sneaks down and bolts to this. So this all is attached to the frame, super secure. This bike is not going anywhere. This thing is super light compared to this thick heavy steel that I got. So I think that about covers this bike rack. Now I'm going to be taking this off from this right here, and I'm going to show you guys how I attach my hitch to these brackets. So bike rack is off, and you can see that I got a hole there, and the pin on the bike rack goes into that. Also on my hitch, I'll show you, I got a locator pin that goes in there. You can kind of see my brackets a little bit better up close. So now it's time for my hitch. Okay, so I got this bore right here on this bracket. Well, I made a piece that fits in there, sticks up just a little bit, and on the back side of this bracket you can see that I have another little counter bore. Well, that bore locates onto that piece that's sticking up a little bit, and if this were to try to pull off, it has to shear through this whole piece, which is a super thick piece of steel, and that was my way of providing strength to this side, because this side has two bolts. So I needed to get more strength in order to like even this up, because I'm anal about that kind of stuff. So it fits into this piece of steel. Also, I have these brackets on the front that screw into there, and I got threads in that. You can see my little weld. I made a piece that pressed into there with 8mm threads, and I welded it. Same thing on this side, I did the same, and there's another bracket that goes there. I'm gonna pick this thing up and place it on there, and right there, it just fell down onto that. So there's that one, and there's that one. I'm gonna put my bolts in, and this thing should be ready to go. I got all my bolts tight, got all my bolts in there, and it's a super solid setup. So I've used this hitch setup for quite a while, and I never had a problem with it. Here in a couple weeks, I will be pulling a probably 1,500 pound wave runner and a trailer. So I do have trailer lights in there also. That will be another video, because you have to hook up a taillight converter. Like, the signal is different from the brake lights on the van compared to the brake lights on the trailer. So that is my hitch setup that I got on my van, and also my bicycle carrier. That is freaking awesome during trips. I'm kind of in the middle of a trip right now because Corona shut everything down. I had to come back home. I didn't have to, but I've wanted to come back home because of just stuff shutting down. Right now, I'm just kind of living the garage life, so I'm making videos every day. My brother has a Turbo VR6 project that he's been working on that I've been uploading some pictures about. He should have parts in this week, along with my other buddy. Pete has a Turbo Miata project that he's building on. I'm gonna do the whole exhaust, the whole intake system, intercooler. I'm gonna make the oil catch cans. I just got an aluminum TIG welder, so there'll be stuff coming up on that. There's just a ton of stuff that, dude, I just like making videos about. I like documenting the stuff, whether someone watches it or not. So I think that does it for this video. I'll see you guys around. Peace.